All right, let's talk about something that impacts just about everyone, housing finance. But, we're not just going to talk about your standard mortgage today. We're going to pull back the curtain on a whole system, really an entire ladder that has evolved to help people climb towards owning a home one step at a time. Let's dive in. So let me ask you, when I say home loan, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For most of us, right, it's this massive long-term bank loan for a brand new apartment or a finished house. But what if I told you that's only one piece of a much, much bigger puzzle? You see, the world of housing finance has become so much more than a single product. It's better to think of it less like a one-size-fits-all solution and more like a ladder, with different rungs specifically designed to help people at every single step of their housing journey. And this idea, this housing finance ladder, is absolutely crucial. What it really represents is a whole spectrum of financial tools, each one crafted to meet different income levels, different housing needs, and, the real-life circumstances of different people. So our ladder has 4 main rungs. We're going to start at the very bottom with housing microfinance. Then we'll climb up through micro-housing finance, affordable housing finance, and finally, we'll get to the top with what most of us think of as mainstream housing finance. Let's start the climb. Okay, let's begin at the very foundation, the first rung. Now, this step isn't about buying a whole new house. Not at all. It's about enabling those essential improvements that make a person's current house a safer, better home. This first rung, housing microfinance, is for the very people who are often left out by traditional banks, low-income households. The goal here isn't a fancy new condo. It's funding critical needs, things like vital repairs or adding proper sanitation. And the key feature, the game changer really, is accessibility. The eligibility is simplified for folks who have irregular or informal income. And when you look at the numbers, it makes total sense for that purpose. We're talking about smaller loan amounts, usually between 1 and 3 lakh rupees, with much shorter repayment periods, just 2 to 4 years. It's a very targeted, manageable financial tool. This really gets to the heart of its impact. These aren't just loans floating out there on their own. They're often backed by social initiatives. And the crucial point is that they directly lift up living conditions and improve the quality of housing for communities that need it most, in both rural and urban areas. Okay, so we've got our foundation. Now let's move up to the next couple of rungs and see how this all builds. Here, the focus totally shifts from just improving a space to the dream of actually owning a home. These are the critical middle steps. And this is where the evolution really kicks into high gear, It's driven by fast-growing cities and a growing awareness of the informal economy. These middle-rung products are specifically designed for those expanding semi-urban and peri-urban areas. It's a direct response to how economies are changing and the financial reality for people who might have a mix of informal and semi-formal income. Now check this out. Here we can see those 2 middle rungs side by side. And you gotta notice the subtle but super important name change. We went from housing microfinance for repairs to micro-housing finance. This one's for marginally middle-class families funding incremental housing, like adding a room with loans up to 15 lakh. Then you climb one more rung to affordable housing finance. This targets middle-income earners who are looking to buy their very first home. So naturally, the loan amounts and the tenures get bigger to match that bigger goal. All right, after that climb, we finally made it to the top of the ladder. This is the product that, like we said at the beginning, most people immediately think of, the one geared towards those aspirational premium homes. So mainstream housing finance is aimed at a completely different market, upper middle class and high-income folks buying high-value properties, usually in prime city locations. This operates squarely within the formal economy, so it requires fully documented income and crystal-clear property titles. And that formality is definitely reflected in the scale. We're talking about loans that start at 25 lakh rupees and just go up from there. They're designed for upscale properties and offer much more flexible repayment plans for people with higher financial standing. So we've climbed the whole ladder. But why is this structure so important? What's the big takeaway here? Well, it's because when you put them all together, these rungs create a complete financial ecosystem for housing. And here it is, the whole ladder, all in one view. You can see that clear, logical progression, right? From low-income households needing basic repairs, to the marginally middle class building incrementally, to middle-income families buying their first home, and finally, to high-income individuals investing in premium properties. Every single step is perfectly tailored. This quote right here, it just sums up the core idea perfectly. The goal isn't to try and force everyone into the same box. It's to create tailored solutions that meet people exactly where they are, both financially and in their own housing journey.
And ultimately, that's the real story. This evolution in housing finance isn't just about money or loans, it's about building pathways. A pathway to a safer home, a pathway to building wealth and equity, a pathway to creating stability for a family, and a pathway to accessing real economic opportunity.
So as we wrap up, here's the thought I want to leave you with. We've just seen how a really smart, tiered approach to finance can revolutionize something as fundamental as housing. And it just makes you wonder, if we can build such a powerful ladder here, what other essential ladders for things like education, or starting a business, or even healthcare can we help people climb?